Good morning from Curtin Springs Roadhouse, about 100 kilometers or so from Uluru. It's 7 a.m. I've just fueled up, having a cup of coffee, and I'm about to do the last stretch to the rock. The reason I'm staying 100 kilometers from the rock is because yesterday when I was in Alice Springs, I went to book an unpowered campsite at the only campground in Yulara, which is the resort town next to Uluru. And they decided to charge me $172 for 2 nights. That's $86 a night for what is basically a patch of grass and access to a dunny. Obviously, there is no way in hell I am paying such a ridiculous price for an unpowered campsite, so I decided I'd stay at the Curtin Springs station instead. They actually have free camping here. This has caused me 1 or 2 small issues, mainly the fact that I won't be able to get to watch the sunset over Uluru, which is utterly amazing. I've done it before, because that would then involve me having to ride back out here, which is what, 100 k's, in the dark. And given that all of the land around here is cattle stations with unfenced roads and the usual issues with kangaroos and what have you, that's just too dangerous on a motorcycle, and I'm not going to do that. These things happen on trips though. We shall adapt and get on with it. And trust me, this rock is worth it. All right, time to make like a guillotine and head off. This surface actually looks much worse than it's appearing on camera. It's just loose pebbles everywhere. And we're on the bitumen. Okay, let's go. 18.5 degrees. That's the lowest temperature I've seen on this trip so far. Also, given that I'm wearing gear that's really only designed for use in temperatures above about 30 degrees, I'm freezing my ass off right now. And I forgot to tie a pannier bag. Good man. Hang on, did I lose anything? No, I didn't. Excellent. I've been actually really good in this trip so far. I haven't forgotten to tie anything once until now. Must be some kind of record for me. Because normally I'm a massive idiot. This is my first stop for the day, the Sandy View rest area, which is about 50 k's from Uluru. And this is actually a free camping spot as well. A lot of people do stay here when they visit the rock. I think Curtin Springs is better myself, mainly because it has, you know, basic facilities such as showers and toilets, and a pub that sold me a really nice T-bone steak last night. This is also pretty much the last stop before you enter the Uluru National Park, which means it's the last place I'll be able to fly my drone. And let's do that now, because this is going to be good.
Even from 50 kilometers away, it is amazing. Oh, loose gravel, crap. The other big rock formation you could see further off in the distance is called Catachuta, otherwise known as the Olgas. They're a relatively short distance away from Uluru and are just as spectacular, and for some reason not anywhere near as well known, and I can't really understand why, because they should be. Got to Yulara, otherwise known as Ayers Rock Resort, which is the resort town about 20 kilometers or so from Uluru, which caters for tourists visiting the site. And to be blunt, it is ludicrously, unjustifiably expensive, and it seems to be getting worse and worse. I haven't been here in about 5 years, but I stayed at the campsite the last time and I have absolutely no recollection of how much I paid, which I would take to mean that it was probably fairly unremarkable. However, I will be leaving this time remembering clearly how much they tried to charge me. Before I get my coffee, here's the single greatest name for any Chinese restaurant in the history of the world. Brilliant. Okay, I may have been a little harsh on how expensive everything is here. I just got a lovely cup of coffee from the cafe here in Yulara, which is run by the National Indigenous Training Cafe, and it cost $5, which is about what you'd pay for a coffee here in Australia. So I guess that's a win. Still have to get petrol though. 234, and that's for 91 octane. Steep. I'm just riding past the backpackers hostel and it appears to be closed. I'd imagine COVID probably did a lot of damage around here, what with the lack of tourists that this place is completely dependent on. Although charging $86 a night for a campsite is probably not going to get people flocking back. Good God Almighty. Like, what can I even say about it? It'll look a bit crappy on the camera. It's way better in person. Anyway, I'm just getting to the park entry gate. I think it's something like $38 for a 3-day pass, which is fairly reasonable. There it is again, and I kind of can't stop staring at it, which is a bit of a problem because I'm riding a motorbike and I'd really better concentrate. It's a type of geological feature known as an Inselberg, which is basically an isolated mountain in a flat expanse of land. It's made of a particular type of sandstone called arkose, which is naturally erosion resistant, hence how it's lasted all that length of time. And it is without doubt the best rock in the world. Honestly, it is one of only 2 natural wonders of the world that I have seen that has rendered me speechless, the other one being the Grand Canyon. Jesus. Also worth noting, that from a riding a motorcycle perspective, there's actually some nice bends on this road with an 80km/h speed limit. I'd almost forgotten how to go around a corner. The colour of Uluru appears to change constantly throughout the day depending on what way the sun is shining on it. It appears a kind of dark chocolatey brown at the moment because the sun is behind it as I'm looking at it. But if I go around the other side, it'll look that glowing red that's shown so often in the pictures. And again, with the camera on super view, you won't really be able to tell just how tall it is from here. It's enormous. I think it's something like 350 meters high, which is over 1,000 feet. Ooh, that corner kind of took me by surprise there. Once again, too busy gawping at it. Anyway, car park's just down here. And here we are. There is a 13km long track that goes along the base of it. I have walked it before. Don't really feel like doing it again, but I will ride around it definitely. And here we are. I bloody made it. Those Segway tours do look like good crack though. Uluru, 2,504 kilometers from my house. I'm gonna ride around the entirety of it in a minute, but first I'll have to go back to the visitor centre I passed down here because I left my water bottle in Yulara. And it's already 31 degrees at 10:15 in the morning. Okay, I have securely mounted my GoPro on top of my brake fluid reservoir using a lot of very strong tape. Let's go right around the best rock in the world. It is indescribably beautiful. You can see all along it the layers of sandstone. What a place. Sorry, there's a fly in my helmet. And there we have it, the best rock in the world. I'll have to give a shout out to the Kawasaki though. 2,500 kilometers and counting from home. Hasn't put a foot wrong. Oh, I've totally just jinxed myself now, haven't I? On to Katachuta. I will see you when I get there. Whoa! I went over like the roughest bit of it because I'm extremely clever like that sometimes. Extremely clever. One last gawp. I have no idea when I'm going to be here again. 44 kilometers to Katachuta from Uluru or thereabouts. The paved road ends there. and it is nothing but dirt road the whole way to Kalgoorlie in Western Australia. Not sure exactly what the distance is from here, but it's only 500 k's from Perth, so quite a way.
They are taller than Uluru. I can't remember the height off the top of my head. I'll put it on screen now. And instead of being one massive lump of rock like Uluru is, these are several much smaller ones. Now, much smaller is relative because they're absolutely enormous in their own right. And you can actually walk right through the middle of them. There's an amazing hike that goes right through the center of them. It takes about 3 hours, and I did it a number of years ago. If you are down here and you have the time, you should definitely do it.
By the way, if anyone accuses me of, you know, cheating or wimping out or whatever, I said I was going to ride to Uluru. I rode to Uluru. Okay, off to Yulara, top up on fuel and water. Time to get food and water. No, fuel and water. That's it. Fueled up. Let's keep going. Back at Curtin Springs, cattle grid, where I stayed last night. 1:30 in the afternoon, so I still have heaps of time to get back to the Ellis. Fueled up and ready to go. And once again I choose the roughest bit of ground to park on. Anyway, I'm going to stop again a few minutes up the road here to show you Mount Connor. So I'll see you when we get there. So we're a few k's up the road from Curtin Springs at the Mount Connor lookout. I'll get my proper camera out.
And there she is, folks. Mount Connor. It is really tall. We are quite far away from it where I'm standing. I'll put the height on the screen now, and it just sticks up out of the relentlessly flat land around it. Rather amusingly, I have heard stories of tourists who have come all the way here, about 120 k's shy of Uluru, gotten out of their cars, had a look, thinking that was Uluru, and then got in their cars and went home without actually seeing the real rock. Not sure how true that is, but it's pretty damn funny. The only way you can access Mount Connor is by a privately operated tour out of Curtin Springs. I believe they do helicopter tours of it as well. But you can't just drive up to it because it's on privately owned land, which is a working cattle station. You can't climb it either. "38 degrees at the moment." Oh, sorry. You see, you get so used to the roads being empty that you fail to consider that a car might actually be coming, and you almost go head first into a Holden Commodore. Made it to Uluṟu Roadhouse on the corner of the Lasseter Highway and the Stewart Highway. So, time for another splash and dash. Although I'll probably hang on here about 10-15 minutes, just get a cool beverage and a bar of chocolate or two. What's going on here? Seem to have done something with the pumps. Oh, it's over here, is it? No idea where it is. Found it. Thought this was just diesel. $2.42 a litre. We've equalled the high score, kids. They have emus at Uluṟu. This girl's come over for a chat, I think. I'm not going too near her though, because I don't know what she's going to do. That beak looks sharp. In other good news, they actually had Dare iced coffee at this roadhouse, which is the superior iced coffee, just so we're clear on that. 2 hours, or exactly 200 k's from Alice Springs. It's about 20 past 4, I think it is, which means I'll definitely there while it's still light. It also means I've time to show you something cool along the way. That's neutral. Let's go.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Fink River, the oldest river in the world. 750 kilometers long or thereabouts, starts off up to the northwest of here in the West MacDonald Ranges, and eventually kind of goes through the Simpson Desert, which is kind of to the east, where it eventually comes into Lake Eyre, which is Australia's largest lake. And just like that, 2 road trains decide to go past at once, ruining my shot. It's believed to be approximately 300 or 400 million years old. They can't exactly say how old, it's impossible to really tell. But the upper reaches of the river, just where the West MacDonald Ranges are, that's the oldest part of the river, and they're all 300-400 million years old, so it stands to reason that the Fink is just as old or nearly as old as them. Oldest river in the world. Well, as far as anyone can tell anyway. If you're the sort of person who likes to 12 o'clock a 2-stroke KTM, you might recognise the names Fink and Simpson Desert, because they're the locations of the Fink Desert Race, which starts near Alice Springs and ends at the remote community of Fink. Couple of 100 k's that way. Oh, one last thing to show you here. Where did I see them? Ah yes, these things here you see on the ground, they're known as Paddy melons. Not named after me, but they're actually an invasive species of melon that somehow ended up here from southern Africa. They're native to the Namib and Kalahari deserts. They're inedible. Apparently, if you do eat them, you will be shitting through the eye of a needle shortly afterwards. Okay, next up Mount Stewart for a splash and dash. No, not Mount Stewart, Stewart's Well, for a splash and dash, and then back to the Alice. Just as the sun hits the horizon, I have hit Alice Springs. We'll stop at that iconic sign one more time. Good Jesus, that was a hell of a day. better text Beck and let her know I'm not dead. Good luck.